Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
Oh, you could tell. You could tell right away last night. NBA Cup action is back. You turn on the television screen and you see whatever it was that court for the Utah Jazz was. And I got to tell you, I don't really need these to be – I don't need them to make sense. They don't need to be logical. The chaos that these court designs are, that's enough for me. I know now that is an NBA Cup game when whatever throw up occurs on the court and colors are just all over the place and it's just random and whatever. I'm in. I am all in on this. And last night, the Phoenix Suns were all in as they defeat the Utah Jazz 120-118 to win their first NBA Cup game. The NBA Cup starting last night across the National Basketball Association, and the Suns start their group 1-0 with that 120-112 victory. And this felt like a game that could have been more for the Phoenix Suns. You saw the Suns break out a 15-point lead at the half, so not what we've seen from them recently, where they've been spotting some teams some early leads. It was them running out to the early lead. Bradley Beal was leading the way with 13 at the half. Booker had 12 at the half. It was what we said yesterday this could be, that these two could step up, Bradley Beal could step up, and that they could start the NBA Cup off with a victory and start this stretch that they're going to be without Kevin Durant. Nurkic is banged up. Beal's okay. But this important stretch, they could start it 4 games in a row on the road. They could start it in a big way. And I'll tell you, watching this game last night, and I was watching it with my fiance who did not know it was NBA Cup time. And I had the game on and she walked in and she goes, "What is going on the television screen?" I said, "NBA Cup." She goes, "Oh, okay." As if that made any sense to her. Then I had to explain it and she got on board. But I'm watching this game and this team had an opportunity to pull away in the third quarter. It was halftime and we had softball last night, school softball game. So I went to that, got home. Dinner was a little chaotic, so we had the game on. It was a 15-point lead at halftime. I stepped away for a little bit. I said, you know what? I can just finish up some chores in the house. It's a 15-point lead at halftime. Things should be feeling good. And watching the game in the background, and I thought, okay, they're gonna run away with this. They're gonna just take care of business against a bad Utah Jazz team, and they're gonna be able to put this game into cruise control. And never really got there. It never really got to that point. And getting this game to cruise control would have been nice, considering the injuries that had been piling up recently for the Phoenix Suns, the fact that they are going to play their next 4 games on the road. There's a lot of travel. Anytime you can maybe get some guys some time off, some minutes off is a bonus during a stretch like this. And they had a chance to do that in the third quarter, and they just didn't. And then they needed a 15-point fourth quarter from Devin Booker. He finished with 31. No Kevin Durant. He has chosen to step up and be the Devin Booker that we know he can be. And the Suns defeat the Jazz 120-112. In that first half, they took advantage of a team and the opponent that they were playing. The Jazz entered that game last night. I believe they were 2-7. They're now 2-8 after the loss last night. They're a team that's not playing good basketball. They're a team that could be had, right? You're supposed to go in there even without Kevin Durant, even with a banged-up Yusuf Nurkic and a banged-up Bradley Beal. You're supposed to go in there and win that game. You're supposed to dominate 4 quarters. You're supposed to, during this stretch where you're playing the Kings, who are playing good basketball. You've got the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are starting hot. Not as hot as maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the Eastern Conference, but a team that is playing good basketball. The Timberwolves, the thorn in your side last year, and more than likely going to be a thorn in your side during your path in the Western Conference playoffs this year. This is supposed to be the one you have to have. This is supposed to be the one that you kind of put on cruise control. Now, they won the basketball game. Please do not take this opening segment here as a shot at the Phoenix Suns. They did take care of business. It just felt like this was the game that you circle on the calendar of, this can be a blowout. We can rest the starters late. We can get Devin Booker and Bradley Beal off their feet for some minutes in the second half, and that allows you to keep the tank full for those upcoming games. You felt that way in the first half. The second half was a bit of a different story. They never really took advantage of the Jazz leaving the door open. The Jazz were able to make this game close. I never really felt like the game was in doubt. It never really felt like the Suns were going to lose the game, but the Jazz did make it close. It got to 89-83. That was as close as it got at one point in the early stages of the fourth quarter. It was a 6-point lead, but that was about it. And the Suns pick up a victory. They start with a +8 in the point differential for the NBA Cup. If there are tiebreakers, the point differential is the first one. So The Suns start with a +8, but more importantly, they start with a victory, and they start their NBA Cup season with a 1-0 start by beating the Jazz last night. And here we are again, coming in here, starting a show, talking about the Phoenix Suns, and we are right back to discussing the injury report. We had a brief moment where it was, Bradley Beal's not on the injury report. Nurkic is questionable. Things are okay. I know Kevin Durant's going to miss 2 weeks, but things are okay. Things are not as bad as they could have been. It was a bad weekend, but it's okay. And we are just right back into potentially being in the pit of misery. We are just right back there. We're right back waiting to see if Bradley Beal, who left the game with calf tightness, if it's going to require him to miss some time. It certainly feels like they were just being incredibly cautious. You never want to have those tissue injuries like a calf, like a hamstring. You never want to push those, because then what could potentially be leaving a game early, maybe missing one game, turns into, if you play through it and you do something really bad, you have a calf strain, you're like Kevin Durant, you're out for 2 weeks, or maybe you tear something, you're out for a couple of months. You just cannot take those chances this early in the season. You just can't do it. And the team showed last night, even with Kevin Durant sidelined, they can beat up on teams like the Utah Jazz. They can win those basketball games. Devin Booker has that killer instinct in him, and he knows when it's go time. He knows when it's time to take over. You saw it in the fourth quarter last night with his 15 points. This team knows how to flip the switch. And so making sure that you have Bradley Beal healthy, if he feels like his calf's a little tight, if things don't feel great, do not push those things. Do not risk derailing your season. Do not risk destroying what has been an excellent start to this season for this team, as they are now 9-2 to start the year, and they're right back at it very quickly with the Kings up next on the calendar. They play the Kings tonight. That game starts at 8 o'clock. Like we said, this stretch was going to be really important. You play an NBA Cup game here on a Tuesday, and it's right back at it here on a Wednesday, playing the Kings, and then you have a day off before you go to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder. This is the stretch for this team. And you want to make sure that Bradley Beal doesn't push it to a place where he's out for 6 weeks. This team in a 3-way tie with the Oklahoma City Thunder and Golden State for the top seed. And by the way, the Warriors they're a problem. I thought we were over with them. I thought it was done. I thought they weren't a problem anymore. I thought Steph was getting older. He was just going to kind of ride out his career, just ride off into the sunset. They were going to be good, but they weren't going to. No. They might be a problem again. They might be a thorn. And, that's what happens when you miss opportunities like the Suns have in the past, because you write off the Golden State Warriors. Nope, here they are. Oklahoma City's a young team. Here they are. Here's Golden State. Here's Denver. Houston's a young team on the rise. Memphis is having a good start to the season. You haven't even gotten the Timberwolves in full effect. They're 6-5 to start the year. Mavs are 5-6, defending Western Conference. The Western Conference, it's just every single day. The more I see what is going on across the NBA, and the more I see who the Suns are playing on a nightly basis, if they are a top seed, if they earn one of the top 3 seeds or 4 seeds in the Western Conference, it is going to be the most earned thing this team has done in a really long time. It is going to be a thing that you just tip your cap and say, I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but you are a top 3 seed. You went through a gauntlet